Good afternoon and welcome to 365 Days of Stories with Theo Mayer, day 80. And another wet, rainy day here in Big Sur. It has to have rained at least 2 inches today, and it's supposed to rain another 2 or 3 inches tonight and tomorrow. Really wet. Today I have a short little story, and it is the story of when the sun and the wind had a contest. You see, there was a day. It was a sunny day, and it was also a little bit of a breeze. And the wind and the sun, they were kind of hanging out with each other that day. And the wind said to the sun, "Hey, how about we have a little competition?" And the sun was, "Yeah, sure. What kind of competition would you like to have?" And the wind said, "Well, you see that man that's walking along there on the road? How about we see who can get him to take off his jacket first?" "Okay," said the sun. "I'm game. Let's go ahead and do that. You first, since you thought about this. You can go ahead. If you can get him to take off his jacket, then you win. End of the competition." So the wind agreed. And there was this man. He wasn't old, nor was he young, just middle-aged, walking along, and he had a long coat on over his shoulders and draped down his back. It was a kind of a coat that, you'd button up the front, and, well, it would protect you from wind and rain for a little while until the water soaked through it. And he was briskly walking along from one town to the next. So the wind, it settled itself down until there was just barely a breeze. And then, with a sudden burst, it blew a gust of wind at that man, and he was completely not expecting it. And the coat almost blew right off his arms. But before it did, he grabbed each side and pulled it tight around him. Well, the wind did not give up. It blew harder and sent bigger bursts of wind toward that man, repeatedly, one after another after another. And it was all that man could do to keep himself standing upright. But the one thing he was not going to do was let his coat get blown off of him. He held on to that coat as tight as he could. He couldn't even button it up, because if he'd, loosened it to button it up, the wind would have caught hold of it and just blown it right off him. So he kept his arms around his chest and just held on to that jacket for dear life. He didn't make much progress up the road. And after about 20 minutes of blowing as hard as it could, the wind finally gave up. By this time, the man had taken shelter behind a tree, and every which way the wind blew, he just moved to the side of the tree that was in the lee. "Okay," said the wind, "your turn." Well, the sun beat down upon the earth as brightly and warmly as it could. It heated things up. As things settled down, he started walking again down that road. And the sun shone through with an intensity, well, that the sun can do. If you're out in the sun for very long, and if you've got anything on that's dark, even if it's a cold winter day, it seems you kind of warm up that darkness just absorbs the heat. And it was very similar that day with this man. It wasn't the warmest of days, but the sun's intensity was, well, it was extreme and profound. And it heated up that man beneath his coat to the point where as the man started walking, he realized, oh my goodness, I'm beginning to sweat beneath my coat. He, like most people, did not want to arrive at his destination with sweat soaking his clothing and, you know, the scent that often comes along with that. Well, pretty soon, he took his coat off and hung it over his arm and continued walking. The sun didn't stop there. It continued to warm things up until the man beneath a tree that was just a little up the road stopped and sat down to rest and to enjoy the cool shade. The contest was over. The sun won. Kind of reminds me of that saying that goes, you can attract more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. I think that's a beautiful thing to live by. I think the sweeter we are to everybody and everything around us, the better life just seems to go. Okay, short little story for the day, and hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining.